Candace Owens is not backing down. I've got the update you guys need to hear about the Candace Owens versus Brigitte Macron lawsuit. And we've got Dr. Drew, who now is hypothesizing that Candace Owens might be being blackmailed by deep state forces. I did not know those would be words I'd say out of my mouth on a Monday morning. Hey folks, it's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast. We have an exclusive update as to Candace not backing down. I'm going to share the words that Joe Rogan had to say after watching her docuseries and what sort of new information is coming out as we've got the Russians involved. Candace Owens said, "Never in a million years would Vladimir Putin sue an American podcaster. Why is that? What does this prove about Emmanuel Macron? He has no real power. He is utterly insignificant and therefore fully dependent upon his image in the press to delude people into believing otherwise." So I want to kind of break down the framing that Candace Owens is trying to portray with her audience. Again, I'm not a PR expert, but what I see here is Candace is positioning herself as some podcaster, just a podcaster, but she really is one of the biggest voices on the right-leaning, political commentary. She's got one of the biggest platforms in the world, really. I mean, she's doing big things, but she says, Russia would never sue us. And again, people in the comments section say, Russia doesn't sue. They'll just throw you out of a building. And again, maybe that's the case, not really sure. There has been accusations as to Russia inflaming this conspiracy theory that Emmanuel Macron is married to a woman who was born a man, who was possibly Emmanuel Macron's father, right? Candace is being sued for a bunch of different things. We covered it Saturday night in the 3.5-hour long live stream where we read the entire court case. Lots of accusations against Candace. Whether or not the Macrons bring it to trial, they've made these accusations, which are pretty damning. Accusations that in a December retraction letter, they provided Candace Owens with all the information she needs, 100 pages of different things, and Candace Owens has only shared a portion of the evidence they've provided. That's their claim. They're going to have to bring that to court, right? I think the audience that's following this is not going to just settle for them saying, but we gave her evidence. They're going to want to see that evidence in order to have their minds shifted here. But again, to jockey herself as just a podcaster is the framing of David versus Goliath. But in fact, I don't think it's David versus Goliath. I think it's Goliath versus Goliath. Candace Owens has the backing of major media platforms and a huge audience, and she's going to fight this thing publicly along with in the court of opinion. She's fighting it in the court of public opinion. So this idea, like, why did they decide to sue me? Just remember back to episode 1, after Brigitte Macron has already told her, hey, be careful, this is all defamatory statements, we will sue you. She says this, and by the way, stick around for what Dr. Drew has to say. I think it's a very fascinating, albeit insane, theory. Here's what Candace said way back 5 months ago, episode 1 of the Becoming Brigitte.
Dancing around things that nobody cares about. Nobody cares. She called Emmanuel Macron a psycho. That hurts. But he didn't care, obviously, when the Algerian press referred to him as a homosexual psychopath. They weren't sued. It's coming after Candace. No, a lot of people have asserted that Emmanuel Macron is a psychopath and have not been sued. But he wants us to know he's really serious. He's coming to Tennessee.
Now, you're allowed to have the opinion that someone's a psychopath. I'm assuming that that Candace Owens doesn't really believe she's being sued because they called Emmanuel Macron a psychopath, or Brigitte Macron a psychopath, right? And no offense to the Algerian press, but I don't think they've got as big of an audience as Candace Owens.
I think, do it. Stop wasting your time with these letters. Go, file the lawsuit, okay? The entire world wants to know the answer to the question. And I believe I already know the answer to the question. Like I said, we are peeling back the layers of this onion very slowly, helping people to understand who is in your circle, how we were able to pull this off, how you...
Okay, so she says, just do it already, sue me. And then the Macrons were like, hold my pastis. And then, of course, they have now sued Candace Owens. Really, a bombshell lawsuit in Delaware, which is where Candace originated her corporation. That's where it was incorporated in, and that's where she's being sued. She wants to move the lawsuit to Tennessee. We'll have to see if they do that. There's been thoughts that maybe the lawsuit will leave state court and go to federal and possibly straight to the Supreme Court, as this is an unprecedented time where the head of a state, France, is suing a journalist. Now, that is the fact. They are suing a journalist. But this idea, like, why are they coming after me when, in fact, from the very beginning, she said, sue me, bro. Here is Joe Rogan and what he had to say back in April regarding watching this series by Candace Owens.
Right.
More people would want to watch
The
that.
Candace Owens show. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. And it's doing better numbers than any of the shows on cable news.
It's phenomenal. It's like they created a monster with her when they fired her from the Daily Wire. They created a monster.
Yeah, they sure did.
She can't be stopped.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's no stopping Candace Owens at
Because
this
she's
point.
hitting all the fucking third rails that no one wants to touch. She's got a 6-hour presentation on how Bridget Macron is a man. I mean, it's fucking 6 hours plus long.
I don't know if she's even kind of right about that.
I think she's right.
But she's got a lot of shit to say on it.
Bro, she would be getting sued right now instead of they're trying to bribe her. Instead of trying to give her money to shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
they would sue her.
Yeah. No, you're...
Well, several months later, Candace Owens sued by Brigitte Macron, and this idea that they're trying to bribe her, there is no evidence of that happening. Candace Owens did make that claim that they're trying to bribe her, send her money, and then when pressed on that claim, I believe by Tucker Carlson, she really didn't follow through on that. And again, you know, falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus. I'm not, and again, I know it's a stupid phrase. If you're going to lie about, if one thing's not true, if one thing is false, everything's false. So will Candace Owens have to sort of defend her credibility here? Now, this might not play in the rules of defamation, but in the rules of what she's presenting as fact, if the Macrons did not offer her l'argent, as the French would say, the money, some euros, if they did not offer to pay her to silence this, then that's a flat-out lie that she made. And if she's lying about that, then what else? These are honest questions you have to ask when you stress test this. I know a lot of folks will say, Dave, you hate Candace Owens. You're so biased against her. Well, regardless of that, if that's what you feel, I can't change your opinion. I'm trying to come at this from a place where she has credibility. But when she starts to play like, oh, me, you know, oh, just me, oh, little podcaster, it's like, no, you looked your camera dead in the center of the lens and said, sue me, bro, come at me. Now that they are, you got to own up to that. That's like if you wanted to fist fight somebody and they pop you in the chin, well, you wanted to be a part of this. Now you are. Let the dance begin, right? And folks are saying, geez, Tandy said, I can't recall a more meteoric fall than the real-time happening of Candace Owens. She's insane.
That if I am guessing what took place here, Jean-Michel Trogneau took Brigitte Trognau's identity at some point. It's very obvious he kind of becomes his sister. That's what seems to be the most logical conclusion.
And I get it. Listen, if you're just coming out of nowhere and hear Candace talking about this, yeah, she does sound insane. But if you followed it from step one and you go, okay, well, there's some logical things she's saying here. And again, I don't know what the truth is. I really don't. Candace will have a chance to defend herself in court and share her evidence. And the Macrons will share the evidence of what they sent her. And we'll have to see, we'll have to see where the chips fall on that. Here's Dr. Drew interviewing Robert Barnes. Now, we've really enjoyed Robert Barnes' commentary over here. To be fair, Robert Barnes has a lot of choice words to say about Candace Owens. And of course, he's entitled to his opinion here. Constitutional attorney. But here they are going to start talking about the motivations behind what Candace is saying. What's interesting is there is no conversation by Dr. Drew and Robert Barnes about whether or not Candace Owens is saying truthful statements. They're just arguing as to whether or not she believes it. And then Dr. Drew will make this insane claim that he thinks Candace is being blackmailed. It's like, what? Have a listen.
You can think what you think about Brigitte Macron. You don't have to go to the point of accusing her of being his father and her secret her brother not existing and these other things. It's like, oh man, this is rough. I was trying to think of how I would defend it, and I was like, oh, all I got is crazy. That's all.
All I got is crazy. And then Dr. Drew shaking. He said, Dr. Drew is friends with Candace Owens. And again, people will leave comments. Did you not watch the docuseries and whatnot? And again, you can take everything Candace said in the docuseries, all the photos, all of the evidence, all of that, and then you just have to take it and understand that there may be another side to it, and maybe not. I land on this. This is what I land on. If everything Candace Owens was saying is true, there's no way in hell the Macrons would have filed this lawsuit. I just don't understand why they would. And she says, well, they're doing it for PR. I don't get it. They are not dumb. They've got handlers. They've got their own press people. No one would advise the Macrons to file this lawsuit if Candace Owens was right. I just don't see that logically happening. Now, with that said, have the Macrons provided Candace adequate information to disprove her theory? I don't know about that. That's what we don't know. And we can hang our hat on that. But the logical side, all of my logics are pointed to Candace Owens is really, really up Schitt's Creek.
All I got. She's crazy. She lost her mind.
And what does it? I don't understand what this accomplishes either. I don't understand how it moves. Again, I hope Candace has good defense. I hope it works for her. I just don't understand why you'd want to get it. Somebody, I don't know. I feel like somebody got in her, manipulated her. It just feels like that. But I want to talk, and again,
if you listen to her talk, she just says stuff.
Oh, Candace?
And, that's her rhetoric. She just sort of goes for it. And, and sometimes it just hits your ear where
she
what?
Hates this. She hates the veil of distortion that has been across media and government and education for the last maybe 30 or 40 years, maybe 50 years. And she's really upset about it. I am too. I don't blame her. And I like that she's feeling that way. And I God bless her. But it made her go somewhere. We really don't know what happened between her and Shapiro. I mean, something happened there.
So this is so fascinating that Dr. Drew, who in his own right is kind of quacky himself, but again, respectfully, he's entitled to his different opinions. But again, I'm not big on canceling people for their opinions, even if they are a doctor. It's like, well, if you have an issue with someone, take it up with the medical board. It's like same thing. If you have an issue, file a bar complaint if you think someone's doing something nefarious. But I don't think that at all. I think there's people, whether they're doctors or lawyers, that go against the consensus. And we just want to hate on them. But it's like, hey, like I said, stress test it. And Dr. Drew is looking at this from a completely different perspective. He's saying, what has happened to Candace that has led her to be so conspiratorial? So he floats this idea that he thinks Candace is being blackmailed, or that they've provided her fake information in order to follow this story. Maybe he thinks that the Russians are involved with a disinformation campaign. But here's what we know. And again, it's crazy to think this. Candace Owens is an adult woman. She is a professional. She has her own agency as a journalist, as an investigative journalist and an investigative reporter, as a podcaster. She is all of these different things. She has her own agency to understand and to do her own research to make sure that she's sharing valid things. So this idea that, she's been duped. She's not your grandmother who fell for a phishing scheme on Facebook. Well, I thought I was donating to it. No, but I will agree with Dr. Drew here that when people are canceled, when people are ostracized, it does something to the brain. It triggers the fight or flight. And when one side cancels you or ostracizes you, a lot of times you'll see people move to the opposite side. Now, personally, I stand by my beliefs for Medicare for all, my beliefs that we should, as the richest country in the world, tax the billionaires to a degree in which we can provide better education and all of these things. I believe in that. Now, if the Democratic Party wants to cancel me for whatever reason, I don't fall into line with them, I'm not going to immediately ditch all of my beliefs and go to another side. And that's a lot of people that have claimed that of Candace, where she used to be a liberal-minded person, and then after getting kicked out because she wanted to create this website that the Macrons alleged she wanted to create this website that would dox bullies online, which again I'm not entirely against. Not dox their addresses, but share people's names. I'm all for transparency, and I think people can be anonymous all they want, but I think if someone wants to find out their identity and they're being an a-hole, let the internet judge it. That's just my opinion. But Candace, wants to create this website, and then people kind of shun her for her beliefs. And I get it. This happens a lot on the left, where the left will eat their own. You'll have the progressive left, the woke left, the center left, the corporate left. You'll have all of these different groups. And if you don't kind of check every single box, you get accused of crazy things. like I said, I'm a progressive guy. I believe in strong values of us, making sure the whole system is provided for. Not that everyone, not communism, but like, if someone needs food stamps, if someone needs help, rather than beg on the street, get them some help so that they can get back to work and continue contributing to the economy. That's what I believe. I believe that we're getting robbed by insurance companies. Health insurance is a mess. We pay more than any other first world country. We get less. I believe in all of that. Absolutely. But if someone wants to kind of cancel me because I follow somebody that they deem to be not pure enough, I'm not going to change my values. But I do understand that it does happen that way. Here's what Dr. Drew has to say.
Business. But let's go back to the boiling the frog, to the blackmailing. There's so much that has been uncovered about the workings of the dark state and our government. It makes all these things that I would have shaken my head and go, let's talk about something else. That seems impossible. Seem likely now, like somebody was setting up Candace Owens for blackmail. How would you defend that?
What you would want to do is go through why she trusted the sources she trusted and trying to find out whether those sources are compromised in some manner or attempting to compromise her. I think part of how she fell into a trap here is France has very unusual libel laws. You only have a 3-month statute of limitations, republication. It doesn't start it all over again. If it's not an official press publication, you can only really go to criminal remedies, and that caps your remedies at 8,000, 13,000 euros, that kind of thing.
All right, so anyway, they get into, he's trying to provide a defense, but what it comes down to is if Candace was provided information from somebody, Candace will always say that, the Mossad is behind the Epstein files and they have dirt on Trump or something like that, and it could be true. We know that this happens with foreign organizations. If you're running for president and you happen to be in Uzbekistan, well, maybe Uzbekistan will try to get you set up with a hooker so that they could use information against you. Like, it's not the most crazy thing to think that governments do this in order to compromise politicians and people in power. It's not crazy at all to think that. But if somebody was doing that to Candace, if there was a guy named Vladimir Gorbachev and he was feeding Candace misinformation and she ran with it, well, when she gets sued for defamation, she can say, these reporters were telling me this is true, and it turns out it was a foreign government that was inflaming the lie or whatever. You could make that claim. We haven't seen any of that from Candace. It could get that crazy. My guess is, the most simple thing is usually the most accurate, is that Candace's sources were really the podcaster, Ray and Roy, the one podcaster or one clairvoyant. I see dead people. No, you're seeing a lawsuit, bitch. And then maybe Xavier Poussard. Right, the French journalist. So if there's anyone else that has any credible information, you think Candace would have shared it, but she'll have the chance to do that in court. She's not backing down. Dr. Drew thinks it's a deep state event, and some people think she's fallen off the deep end. Either way, we're here to cover it all day, every day. Any updates that we have, thank you guys so much for getting us to 140,000 subscribers. And if you do want to check out the entire court document reading, we did it Saturday night. It's 3.5 hours long. If you want to donate to our teacher wish list, we're putting our YouTube channel to good use and donating to teachers. We have 30 plus teachers. Their Amazon wish list if you buy something off of it, it goes directly to the teacher. It's a way for them to decorate their classrooms and really fund these teachers to, be good, stewards as they educate our youth and maybe teach some critical thinking skills. Anyone teaching defamation law out there? Anyway, there'll be a link in the description and you can donate to our teachers if you want to give directly to some good members of our community. Otherwise, we'll be back this afternoon. We go twice a day, every day with pop culture and politics. We'll see you then. I'm Dave and this is The Rush.